All right, so welcome back. We are on the final section of Unit 6 on financial services. And this section is going to talk all about personal loans, lines of credit, and overdraft protection that you may have on an account. So again, there are a lot of new terms that are being put out here in this one, so you do want to read through them on your own a little bit. I'm just going to go through a few of them here and really stress some of the importance in how much you would be paying in interest on some of these options as well. All right, so what we have is when you take a personal loan, there is always a time period that is agreed upon to pay that loan back. That is what is going to be your amortization period. So the time required to pay a loan back. And so this might even apply to things like a mortgage payment, or a mortgage is another type of loan. It's usually for a high amount to purchase a home. However, or there can be other personal loans, maybe for purchasing a car or purchasing other large purchases. You may want to get a personal loan for those types of things. You can get personal loans for, say, student loans. However, there are a number of different programs available for student loans, so do look into that as you get closer to wanting to fund your post-secondary school to see what kind of options are available to you. But an amortization period, like I said, is just the time period, the number of years or the number of months or whatever it happens to be that you have agreed upon with the lender to pay back that amount that you borrowed, plus any interest or finance charges that may occur. A line of credit, those are often offered by a bank where you can borrow money and you can use that money as needed. So it doesn't necessarily go towards a car or a home or another purchase in particular. You have flexibility with a line of credit, and you can maybe use that for home renovations or things like that. So you should be using, when you borrow money, it should be going towards things that in the long run are going to have that kind of payback. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to move on here. So we've got overdraft protection. You may have overdraft protection, say, on your bank account if you happen to go below zero in your bank account. It will allow you to do that. So if you happen to be putting out checks, or you have things directly being paid out of your account on a regular basis, if you need that overdraft protection just to allow your bank account to go in below zero. And some bank accounts don't allow you to have that, especially if you're new or don't have really very much credit. But over time, if you're developing credit, and the bank will offer you that at a percentage of interest. Other things that I will mention here are payday loan places. So you see these popping up all over Saskatoon. They make a lot of money off people. I will say that. I am going to highly stress, and you will see why very soon if you continue with this video, never to go with a payday loan. There is always another option. Those are complete ripoffs. That's my opinion. And the amount of interest that you pay with a payday loan is unreal. And you will see that very soon. Then the word default is if you are unable to pay back your loan based on what you agreed to, that means you are said to default on the loan. And legal action can be or will be taken in those cases. So collections and things like that. Alright, so we're going to get into why I think payday loan places are absolutely terrible. Go through through that first example and just have a look here. When they calculate your interest rates, they did this very first calculation based on a 14 days. So that's not years. They just put in 14 days. And after 14 days, the daily interest rate was 1.2%. That may not seem like very much, but then when you calculate what that means over a yearly amount, we're looking at 438%. So if you borrowed $100, you're paying back 480 or 38% of that, right? And so that's another $438 in interest. So if you make that comparison, 438% annual interest rate in comparison to what I thought was very high was credit card interest rates of being around that 20% mark. That's a big difference. So like I said, there's always other options. Payday loan places are often used when there are absolutely no other options. And in that case, you really truly do have to ask yourself, is it necessary? Right? So I would highly recommend you never use that as a option to borrow money. Okay. So what that looks like. Let's do some calculations. So if you borrow $250 from a payday loan company and had to repay $275, that may not seem like much. You now have to pay an extra $25 in your finance fee to borrow some money for 15 days. However, if you get into a trend, which most people, if they're using this as a last resort, they're often struggling financially, and sometimes and I find that payday loan places prey on people that are struggling financially, and then it becomes a terrible cycle to get out of. So just my opinion, and I would, like I said, that is why I highly recommend you do not go with that route. Alright, so how do we do this calculation? $275 minus $250 we know is $25. So you're paying $25 in interest. Now if you remember the formula, interest is equal to principal times rate times t. So $25 is your interest. Your principal was $250 times your rate. Now annual, it asks for instead of daily, so we do have to go the 15 divided by 365. If it did ask for daily, you would just go 15. So I'm going to divide that, but I'm also going to multiply by the 250. So 15 divided by 365, but still divide times that 250. R needs to be left because that's what we're trying to isolate. Is equal to the 25. Now let's just divide both sides by that 10.274. Cancels. 25 divided by 10 that's 2.43. It's equal to R. Don't let that fool you. You still need to multiply it by 100. So it's 243% annual interest rate. That is crazy. Absolutely just, yeah, that just summarizes how I feel. Alright, so I will just show you one other example that kind of goes with these payday loan places. So Chantel borrowed $200 from a payday loan store. She paid back the loan plus interest 7 days later. The interest rate was 395% per year, per annum. how much interest did she pay? So we can go ahead, use that same formula, the principal times rate times term. No, sorry, there's no 0 in front of that. When I take this and I divide it by 100, I get 3.95. Then we're timesing that by 7 days. And in that case, 7 days. But because that interest divided by 365. Okay, and when I multiply all that and divide it by the 365, I get $15.15. So that is how much interest she would have to pay after 7 days. Alright, moving on. I'm going to skip ahead to another topic on, yes, borrowing money in a personal loan. Okay, so we're on example 3 on page 319. Just a couple of things there. It does talk about, like, there are personal loan calculators that you can use. There are also tables, amortization tables that you can use. And I'll show you how to use this table. So, one thing that you should really draw your attention to is the fact that this is a personal loan payment calculator for every $1,000 that is borrowed. So if you borrow $5,000, then you have to technically go and multiply that by 5 times the amount. So keep that in mind. You aren't just doing this payment, it's times whatever amount divided by 1,000. Okay? So we'll refer back to this. I'm just going to open this up a little bit. We're going to look at question 7. So it says to calculate the monthly payment, the total amount paid, and the finance charge for the following loans. I'm going to skip down to, which one do I like? We'll do C. So the $11,500. So possibly that could be like a good first car, paying 4.75% annum for 4 years. So that seems like a good little used car, maybe fairly new car loan would be my guess. Alright, so how do I calculate this? Well, I need to look up this interest rate, and I need to go to the column that says 4 years. So we're going to look over here. So the 475 was my interest rate, and then I'm going to go over to 4 years is $22.92. Now that's for every 1,000. So the 11,500 means that we need to multiply this amount for a monthly payment by, I guess, 11.5. So back to my calculation, just so it's on my paper, it was that amount I looked up on the chart. So I'm just going to take my amount that is borrowed. Oh, too many. We'll just do that decimal. Divided by 1,000 times my amount. So that $22.92 times the total number of months I would be paying this off for. So that is 4 years and 12 months per year. So a total of 48 months in this case. Alright, so doing that multiplication, this divided by that becomes 11.5 times 22.92 times 4 times 12 is going to be a total of $12,651.84. So a little over about $1,151.84 is the interest, or the how much you pay when you owe money. The longer you make payments for, the more years, the more times that the longer you stretch out a loan, in the end, even though your payments will be smaller, the amount of interest in total that you pay becomes much larger. So it is good to get those loans paid off as quickly as possible, unless there are some cases where, like, if you're in business, okay, thinking about how you can be earning money on things and making more money than what you're paying in interest could possibly be a benefit as well. So there are definitely lots of different tips and tricks regarding how to make your money work for you. But paying interest is usually not helpful. If you could be debt-free, much better. All right. And yeah, like other things I was just going to mention was with this other question here. It says Adele wants to buy a used car that costs $2,900. She does have $1,100 saved up. So she only needs to borrow the other, I guess that would be $1,800. So you would consider only borrowing that amount in that case. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. And I look forward to hearing from you.